Hello and welcome to No More Trauma TV, formerly known as the Get Your Happy podcast and TV. My name is Tanya, certified trauma coach and trauma-informed yoga teacher. We discuss trauma messages, any healing tips, and just tools to really navigate and transcend the mind after trauma, the body as well. So, in today's episode, as we wait, today is November 4th, and it's the day after election, and there's this sense of uncertainty, waiting, impatience. But most importantly, I thought it'd be good to really discuss this topic. So, season 5, here we are, premiering episode 1. I'm so happy to be back. A lot of rebranding has taken place. A lot of my work has changed, whereas so across the nation. But in this episode, we're talking about safety and security, and it's been a topic of the year. It's been, we're all wanting this sense of safety and security, right? And I have my notes here that I'll be referring to, but the relationship with trauma as well. We all have this feeling of not, of survival, right? Of wanting to be secure. And as the, whether it's the pandemic, the brutalities, our political system, social justice, the changes, the political changes, the economic changes across the nation, the lives that have been lost, and this idea of hanging on, right? This need to really hold on. And I believe we all can attest to that. I remember sitting in a virtual training that I'm still in, and we were asked, what is it that we're holding on to? And so as we connect in these breakout rooms, one of the most common phrases or desires or sense of clinging to was security. And so, and it looks different for everyone. Security looks different. It's this foundation. The same training I actually, excuse me, I kind of went off in a thought there. In the same training today and all over the world, it's, if we feel as though, that uncertainty, that foundation, that ground is not there, what happens? We tend to, we're clenching, we're holding on, but we're looking for ground. We're wanting to feel grounded. And most commonly, I see a lot of individuals today, if not yesterday, that saying of making sure that we meditate, find this sense of grounding. And so that's what I did today, is I, placing my feet flat on the floor and really feeling the earth beneath me, right? Because there is a sense of, clenching our collarbone or clenching our pearls, or the need or desire to need to feel safe. So let's get started. So this sense of security and safety, this desire, this need, it's shown up, whether it be our time, our relationships, our, family ships. We're looking at, who or what is in our circle. Is it providing me the safety and security that I need mentally, physically, financially? Is my business safe? Is my body safe? Is my health okay? Right? So when we look at safety and security after trauma, we first want to understand why do I need to feel safe? Why do I want this sense of security? So what does it mean, Tanya? What does it mean to be safe? So protected from or not exposed to danger or risk, not likely to be harmed or lost. So now that I know what it means to be safe, but what about secure? Fixed or fastened so as not to give way, become loose, or lost. Have you ever sat on a roller coaster, if that's your thing? It's not one of my favorite things, but I've done it. And we're sitting on the roller coaster, or maybe even a plane. Fasten your seatbelts to make sure everything is secure and not lost. Wow. Not wanting to be exposed, not wanting to make sure, everything in your pockets don't fall, those aren't lost, your body is not exposed to potential risk. And we'll talk more about that word risk. But just imagine that. There's this sense, think about even when you go to bed at night. That feeling of safety. Am I safe? Am I secure? Are my children secure? Am I making a safe decision? Will my home be exposed? Will my business be secure? Right? So there's that foundation again. So now that we know safety and secure, and I think it's very interesting that both of those words is a sense of loss. It's saying that, fastened or fixed or not being exposed or harmed for something to be lost. So in what ways have your valuable time, relationships, your space, your body, your peace, all of those things, your hobbies, your experiences, in what way have those things experienced a sense of disruption, violation, or trauma? Right? So, causes of insecurity. So I remember, and I'll tell a story here. I remember in my time as an academic advisor at a medical institution, I was given a population of students, right? And so my goal was to ensure that each one of these students were passing their classes. They were excited. They were ready. There was something interesting about these students, and they were labeled high risk. Can you imagine that? Let's take a mother who has decided to, have a child at maybe a later age, and she's excited. But she's given that phrase, she's high risk. Can you imagine the pressure, the feeling of lack? As if she's lacking something or incapable of carrying child for a full term. The words that society places on us. So here are these students who are excited about passing these courses, but they were labeled at risk. They didn't know. But these were students who, there was a sense of insecurity. I don't think I can do this, or no one ever really believed in me, but I want to see if I can do it. I believe in myself. That sense of belief, right? inspiration. And can you imagine if I had expressed to them that society and the institution had labeled them as at risk? I think our society can be a little harsh, don't you think? Yeah. So, and the reason why, because we're looking at the behavior for someone who is seeking that safety and security and who has experienced some sense of disruption, some trauma, some uneasiness, what are the causes outside of that? Then usually it's someone who's experienced a lack of skill, a lack of awareness, being grounded, a little bit of guidance. And that's what I knew about these students. It wasn't that they were incapable or quote unquote high risk. It was that there was just a sense of uncertainty, just a sense of lack of skill, just a sense of needing, a lack of mentorship. And that's where I came in, is they were looking for that foundation, right? That safety, security, or maybe just someone that also believed in what they saw in themselves. Safety, security, right? If we look at this picture behind me, if we look at that boardwalk, right? When we go and we walk on it, we want to feel safe in the idea that this boardwalk, right, this deck, whatever you want to call it, that the pillars holding it up is in a strong foundation, and that person walking on that boardwalk is not at risk, safe, secure, right? That the person who created or, built that deck or boardwalk with their bare hands had a level of solid education when building it, right? Solid skill when putting it together. Even in my desire moving, if for any of you, if you may not have, listened to the other episodes, it's your first time joining, welcome. I'm originally from Florida, and so here I am in Arizona, and I just reached a year. And so as I traveled on this journey from, Florida to Arizona, I had my GPS, and there was a sense of security, this sense of safety, because I had this GPS. I was relying on this GPS to get me there safely and securely, right? That the information provided was solid. Yeah? So, what are the behaviors? For someone who's experienced some sense of insecurity, what type of behaviors are happening here, right? As we wait on this election, what behaviors have we experienced in our democracy, right? In our political system, right? There's deceit, betrayal, a sense of betrayal. Maybe it looks like, lies. Maybe as citizens, there's a sense of, maybe I was naive. Maybe I trusted that this person of power would have done right by me. And so for that, I must seek safety and security for my home, for myself, for my truth, for my rights. There's frustration, as we've seen. There's aggression, as we've seen. There's a feeling of being overly protected, and as we should, right? So according to goodtherapy.org, an article was written in 2019, just last year. There is no one cause of insecurity. Many factors can lead to this condition. Insecurity may stem from a traumatic event, a crisis such as a divorce, bankruptcy, even loss. It can also result from one's environment, as unpredictability and upset of daily life can cause anxiety and insecurity about an ordinary routine or event. I think it's safe to say the nation has experienced a very traumatic event. And so here we are in this space, manifesting, meditating, hoping, praying for safety, security, trying to adopt these experiences of skill, awareness, alertness, being grounded, guidance, in order to build a solid foundation like that boardwalk above me, right? So how can we reclaim our valuable bodies, our time, our truth, our rights, our mental peace, after experiencing and witnessing violation of security and safety? What does that look like? Now you're saying, Tanya, you've expressed to me what safety and security is. I don't want to feel exposed. I don't want to feel lost. I don't want to, I know my past experiences has shown me, that there's a lack of my awareness. And so now that you've expressed it to me and I now know my behavior, whether it's me being naive or, whether it's, me having some sort of aggression and frustration, now what? How do I reclaim? How do I reclaim my truth? How do I reclaim my space, my body, my time, my family? How do I do that, right? Consider this. Consider what part of your life is lacking a solid foundation, right? What part of your life is wobbly? It can be the whole, right? If we're looking financial, if we're looking home, if we're looking at relationships, partnerships, what part of your life? It's that truth. What part of your life can use a little TLC, a little bit more safety, a little bit more of that security? What part of your life is vulnerable, exposed? I'll share with you, for me, I've noticed, excuse me here as I tap the screen, for me, I've noticed is that homeownership for me is one, right? I've traveled quite a bit since I was a child, and I've lived in many different states, and I was just telling a friend, for me, I physically haven't been in a space for over, I don't think 4 to 5 years. And there's this sense, and I'll say this, I'll share this with you guys, because I trust that my information is safe with the individuals who listen in or watch. For me, a couple weeks ago, when everything was kind of heightened with all of the, the energy. And for me, it was a seeking of home, right? Where do I feel at home? Where do I feel secure, grounded, right? Not being exposed to something that's going to give way, to loosen, this crumbling. And it was, for me, home. And it wasn't until I sat in my stillness and I was sitting there meditating and I said, okay, home is in my heart. Safety should be in my body. Safety and security should be within my body. Ooh. So outside of that, having to be realistic, so even though that is realistic, so I take that back. That piece is realistic. However, there was another sense of, okay, how, also too, home ownership. That's something that I'm looking into. It's something that's very new, very daunting. It takes skill, right? An awareness, an alertness. There's a lack of education there, and so that of which I must invest my time, my awareness, my understanding, right? So as you look at your tree of life, right, and you figure out what part is vulnerable, okay? Because when you sit down and you complete this life assessment, this is where you discuss with your family, with your loved ones, with yourself, whomever. You discuss opportunities and resources to protect space, whatever space that is. Maybe it's the business, maybe it's your business, and you need to ensure that that is protected. Your finances, ensuring that that is protected. Your investments, making sure that is protected. Solid foundation. Now, the thing about this type of assessment is that it may take work. I imagine that boardwalk above me took some work to put that together. There was some sort of education needed. Okay. The beauty on the other side of that is it will begin to build confidence, compassion, and worth within your level of safety and security. So I want to really quick just share a quote as we close this topic. Is safety and security don't just happen. They are the result of collective consensus and public investment. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. By Nelson Mandela. And I'll repeat that. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. The more we educate ourselves, the more awareness and understanding and assessing our tree of life. In what areas do we live in fear, become aggressive? That must be the area in our life that is lacking a sense of safety and security. So invest in yourself, invest in your family, your loved ones, in your community to get the safety and security that you most certainly desire and deserve. So just a little self-reflection when you're journaling. Really sit back and think what area of your life is needing that extra TLC. Well, that is it for this Season 5, first episode, Safety and Security in Relationship with Trauma. Again, my name is Tanya. I thank you for joining me on the new No More Trauma TV, formerly known as the Get Your Happy TV. Remember to live abundantly, love your authenticity, and radiate all that organic happiness. But most importantly, live a life of no more trauma. Take a look down below in the description and see where you can follow me and join me for any of my yoga classes. You can also shop for the apothecary that is now up, Wind and Water, on my Etsy shop, or just stay connected with me on Instagram at az.nomore-trauma. I look forward to seeing you there, and I look forward to seeing you back on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.